Hey everybody. As far as the story goes, we're jumping ahead a little bit, but not too far. My time in Montanita has ended, but before leaving, I met an Australian guy named Bosco who also wanted to go down to Peru. And for safety's sake, we thought it best if we do it together. We ended up snorkeling for a day before taking off, and then actually leaving separately. I went to Aloha. He stayed a few more days trying to catch a little bit more of the swell that was coming through, as his whole intention in being in South America was just to surf. While I went ahead to Aloha and then to another town for another day before meeting back up with him. But since then, we've gotten together and are on a bus down to the border of Peru and Ecuador. And that's where we start. The bus drags on, field after field, mountain after mountain. The sun is giving us its time, shaping the hard lines of farmland between the valleys. Bosco turned out to be the trustworthy gentleman I pegged him to be, and the Aloha bus station was once again accommodating, providing a border bus crossing no more than an hour after our reconnection. Spirits are high. I told him of my duel with Pedro, and he spoke to me of waves. His story had a bad ending too, leaving him beachside with more washouts than satisfying sets, and happy to be leaving town as well. Good riddance to Disneyland, I say. 2 hours out of Aloha, the bus pulls into a small town. Our only goal is to take a left, but 5 children sidle to the right side with bundles of goodies. Mercifully, the driver throws up his hands. From below, our windows are bombarded with chicken on a skewer to gum to freshly baked bread to tamales to an assortment of nuts. More aggressive, a wave of adults climb on the bus, selling most of the same. They walk up and down the aisles, proclaiming their products. Arms reach high and low, either making the simple transaction within wrist reach or stretching as far as possible to trade with the youngsters. I can't help but envy the carnal, entrepreneurial spirit in South America. Giving in, I shell a couple of dollars for some roasted nuts out the window. Thank you, replies the lad, street side. Pursing the package open, I pour a handful into my palm. I wink at my vendor in approval, and he skips away a rich man for the day. A few rows ahead, Bosco purchases an enchilada from a towel-encased basket, and I'm instantly jealous. His patience is going to pay off. My nuts are salty and tasty, but no enchilada. Finally, the bus turns left after the vendors make their last compressed passes, heavier now with pounds of snacks amongst the passengers' laps. With no patience, it starts raining and my mind floats back to my bus to Quito. It's still flood season, and we're still occupying a fairly high altitude. Once back on the highway, our route continues to swerve around ridges, never interested in touching the valley floors below us. I become mesmerized by the rhythm of the windshield wipers disposing of the heavy showers. Each successful stroke warrants a celebration. Each successful stroke another second that our bus hasn't poured into a muddy bank. We drop down into a valley, but the rain is relentless. At least the scenery outside the window has changed to muddy pigs instead of ready-to-slide banks, although a gambling pig could cause just as much trouble as a shifting clump of earth. Hey, mate. Bosco has turned over his seat and is propped above the gentleman between us. Want to trade iPods? I'm sick of me mix. As if he just offered me a much-needed beer, I accept his gold nano and thank him while passing off my white brick. Even with 500 or so songs, options were getting old. Thumbing through Bosco's collection, it includes mostly rap and alternative rock. No surprises. I settle on a band I heard on the tongues of other travelers, MGMT. Once back home, this group will have made it, and give them a go. The music is methodical and synthesized, allowing for further zoning out. 6 hours from Aloha, and nearing night, we pull into a sleepy town that our driver says is the border. I look about for signs and see one claiming the hamlet to be Marcara. The name doesn't sound familiar when thinking back to Dylan's border horror stories. A few folks are unloading at where we're stopped, which appears to be the post office. Concern enters my brain and I peek out the window to make sure my backpack doesn't unload without me. Attempting to give myself a trust humanity internal speech, I shake my head, realizing it might be a while again before I can relax after Montanita. There seems to be a tienda linked to the post office, so Bosco and me unload to pick up some unhawked snacks. Opting for more salt, I purchase a package of Ritz knockoffs for slow dissolving atop my tongue. 20 minutes pass before we finally roll another half mile to the very obvious border. In front of the bus driver is a river, a bridge, a brown building on each side, and a large banner in the middle welcoming us to Peru. "Get off here. I'll see you on the other side," says our driver. He could leave us, but word of mouth has to have some kind of clout down here, right? After dropping the locals at the post office, we're now about a dozen ready to cross. A thick but not fat Ecuadorian border patrolman filters through us quickly, stamping our passports and wishing us well on our way. That was easy. Bosco and I walk across the bridge looking at each other with chummy smiles. Progress slows on the Peruvian side as documents inquiring about our nationality, birthday, and all sorts of private numbers need satisfying. While filling my survey, I see the next step is to be sent into an adjoining office for questioning. And even though the bus, which has thankfully stopped after its bridge crossing, isn't going anywhere, a race has developed amongst our group to finish the process. I barely edge out the cute white couple next to the office, only to enter the interrogation quarters and be told to sit down by a very serious man. A small television is playing an 80s karate movie, while above his head is a topless calendar. Plenty of options to court my attention. The beige of his uniform matches the walls, and his mustache is thick and black. The red and white of the Peruvian flag look over the proceedings. "Age," he asks. 25. No, 26. "Well, what is it?" "I just turned 26, a week ago." "Sorry," I say apologetically. "Occupation?" "Waiter." "With?" he asks with a moving hand and pursed lips. Food, drinks," I reply with probably too much obviousness for the delicate situation. "Reason for visit?" With more earnestness, I answer, "Tourism." "Length?" "Month and a half maybe?" He stamps my passport with a 90-day visa and shoos me away. Exhaling outside, I see Bosco looking at me with curious eyes, and I shrug my shoulders to put him at ease. For the first time, I have successfully entered a South American country via land. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So I mentioned some of the problems that happened in Montanita. I had a run-in with our hostel manager who had quoted us a certain price and didn't live up to that price, so we had an argument about it. And I guess that's that. And if you want to watch a little bit more, I'll put some photos onto the end. Take it easy.